The Afc Divisional Round has arrived. The Afc Divisional Round has arrived in the NFL. We're going to be ready to talk about that. I got one huge game in the Mid-America Conference in college basketball that's going to have everybody talking. I'm going to make my sister happy and give the Ohio Bobcats some love. We have other huge matchups in college basketball, plus an upset from last night that's going to have the Big Ten shaking their heads a little bit. I will have that today. I'll have more on that today, and we will start the show right after this.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sport.
And a very happy Friday, everybody. It is now time for the Scott Manning YouTube Sports Weekend Kickoff Show. I want to thank all my loyal viewers for being with me here today, and I'm glad to have you with us. It is now time for the show. Let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to start it out with the AFC Divisional Playoff talk. The Cincinnati Bengals faced the Tennessee Titans in the opening game of the divisional round on Saturday. The Titans organization made a change to their ticket policy to keep all the Bengals fans away. That is just dead wrong. The Bengals fans have a right to be in Nashville just as much as the Tennessee fans do. That is just crazy. I'm not going to worry about that because we have a game to think about. And this is the first meeting between these two this season. Ryan Tannehill and head coach Mike Vrabel have already, said, bring it on. Ryan Tannehill's passed for over 3,700 yards this season. This is going to be a fun one. And Cincinnati head coach Zach Taylor has told his players to regroup after having fun at a bar last weekend in Cincinnati where he gave away free footballs and gave out Gabe balls, actually. And Joe Burrow, he's passed for over 4,600 yards as well this season. Now, when you look at the injuries on both sides of the ball, we have defensive tackle Larry Ungajabi. Hard for me to pronounce his name, I apologize. He's on injured reserve. Linebacker Akeem Davis Gaithier, injured reserve. Linebacker Jordan Evans, injured reserve. Wide receiver Stanley Morgan, he's questionable for the game. And then you got linebacker Joe Manchi, he's out. That's the Cincinnati injury report. But Cincinnati head coach Zach Taylor's already said, I've got Joe Burrow, I've got Joe Mixon, I've got Jamar Chase, and we have a great defensive group even without some of these guys. We can get the job done. I got a strange feeling we're going to score an upset in Tennessee. They want to change their ticket policy, so be it. But we got heart, and we know how to get it done in the clutch. Tennessee's Ryan Tannehill's already said, I got a great group of guys, we can get it done. But the big question mark for Tennessee is going to be running back Derrick Henry. Right now, Derrick Henry is IR, along with Torrey Carter, he's injured reserve. Center back Greg Mankin, he's out. And Tierre Tart, a defensive tackle, he's questionable for the game. This is an opening game to start the weekend off into the division round. This is going to be a battle all the way to the end. We'll have to wait and see what happens. This is actually a 4:30 game on CBS, and we'll see how this one goes. and we'll have a great time. That was Cincinnati, Tennessee. Now, let's talk about San Francisco, Green Bay. The Packers play the Giants on the 49ers play the Packers on Saturday night. Think back all the way back to week 3 of the season. The Packers beat the 49ers 30-28. Now, the question is, will Jimmy Garoppolo be a go? That we don't know. But they need him. Garoppolo's thrown for over 3,800 yards this season. And you got Elijah Mitchell, one of the best running backs. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Elijah Mitchell, he has almost 1,000 yards rushing this season. 963 to be exact. And Deebo Samuel, he has 1,405 yards receiving this season. That is going to be an interesting matchup. But if you look at the tail of the tape for the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, 4,100 yards passing this season. He's got his favorite target, Devontae Adams. 1,553 yards receiving this season. Don't forget A.J. Dillon. He's rushed for over 800 yards. This is a matchup that could be interesting. And the weather could be a factor. Now, there is some snow in the forecast. However, Saturday night in Green Bay, according to AccuWeather, and they're very reliable, it's going to be 4 degrees at game time with a wind chill factor of about 0 to 5 below. Typical Green Bay weather, baby. That's all I can say. Can the 49ers actually conquer the deep freeze in Green Bay and possibly shock the world? We'll have to wait and see on that. However, at the end of the day, this is going to be a great matchup. Jimmy Garoppolo versus Aaron Rodgers. If Garoppolo's a go, this matchup is going to be fun. Because you got Garoppolo and you got Samuel. You got Rodgers and then you got Adams. That's what I love about this match. I love this matchup for a lot of reasons. And think back to early in the season when the Packers beat the 49ers 30-28. That's why everybody's going to be talking about this matchup. And it's going to be well worth the price of admission at the end of the day. All right. Those are your Saturday games. Now here's what's going to be going on Sunday. Oh, yes. The Rams versus the Buccaneers. This is their first meeting this season. The first time these two teams have seen each other. The first meeting between these two this season, and it's going to be fun. For the LA Rams, of course, you got Matthew Stafford, 4,886 yards passing this season. Tom Brady, he's thrown for over 5,000 yards. What do the Rams need to do to upset the Buccaneers? Well, here's one thing you can think about. Matthew Stafford, he's got his favorite target, Cooper Kupp. But keep in mind, and I didn't write him down, Aaron Donald and Von Miller could come into play on defense. If Von Miller or Aaron Donald can get to Tom Brady, they could possibly pull off an upset. They've got to get Brady in pressure situations. Now, I know Tom Terrific has been there before, but has he ever faced a defense like Von Miller, Aaron Donald, leading the Rams? I don't think so. And think about this. Cooper Kupp, 1,947 yards receiving this season. That is something to think about. But on the other side of the ball, if you look at Tampa Bay, Tom Brady and his favorite target, Chris Goodwin. Chris Goodwin has over 1,100 yards receiving this season. Now, when you look at the run game on both sides of the ball, the Rams have Sonny Michel from Georgia. I love doing that. He has 845 yards rushing this season. And Leonard Fournette, he has 812. Now, Fournette's had some injury issues during the season. Will he be a go? We'll have to wait and see on that. But the Rams and the Buccaneers, and this is a 3 o'clock game Sunday on NBC. We're going to have to wait and see what happens in this ball game. This is a huge one. The winner goes to the NFC title game. Could it be a Tampa Bay Green Bay rematch? We'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to tell you right now, this matchup is going to be so much fun. And everybody knows why. I've said it before. May the best team win. Could the Rams pull off an upset? The Football Power Index has them as a slight favorite. That is something to think about. Now, I know the Buccaneers have Tom Brady. However, he may be getting close to the end of his career. Nobody doesn't know this yet. So if you are bearish on Brady, you might as well go ahead and do that. But I'm very bullish on Matthew Stafford. Now, that is the Rams Buccaneers. Now, let's talk about the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills and the Chiefs. Think back to week 5 of the season when the Chiefs were doing everything wrong. When they were slipping, sliding every which way but the right way. Back in week 5. Now, the Buffalo Bills played the Kansas City Chiefs back in week 5. Think about this. The Bills beat the Chiefs 38-20. On that day, Josh Allen was 15-26 for 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also carried the ball 11 times for 59 yards, and he had a touchdown on the ground. Dawson Knox, 3 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown. Emmanuel Sanders, 3 catches, 54 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. And Micah Hyde, he had a pick 6 interceptions for 26 yards. He ran it back for a score in that game. For the Chiefs that day, Patrick Mahomes, 33 of 54, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He had a bad day. Travis Kelce, 6 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown. Byron Pringle, 2 catches, 11 yards, and he had a touchdown that day as well. Now, this was back in week 5, but let's go back to last year's AFC Championship game. This is a rematch. These two teams meet again in the playoffs. This is a rematch of the AFC Championship game from last year, which was won by the Chiefs. That is something to think about. But if the Bills want to pull off an upset, this is what needs to happen. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, they need to have their game. They need to have the game of their life. And Devin Singletary, he's a great rusher. He's a great player. But he's got to rush for over 100 and some yards for the Bills to have a chance. That is my professional opinion. But on the other side of the ball, Patrick Mahomes boy, he has to have a great game. And Darrell Williams, he's got to be a go as well. Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, if he can rush for over 100 yards, the Chiefs have a shot. Just to repeat, for the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bills have to have big games for Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Devin Singletary. Singletary especially. He's got to run for over 100 yards. So are you guys in on this? I say yes. Here's the deal. A lot of things happen like this for a reason. Can the Bills pull off the upset? We'll have to wait and see. But if the Bills want to win this time, they got to do what they did back in week 5. That's just some food for thought, in my professional opinion. All right. Now that is your NFL divisional talk for this week. I want to talk about one game in the NBA, and then I'm going college basketball the rest of the way. Tonight at 8 o'clock on ESPN, the Chicago Bulls face the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a battle of 2 teams in the Central Division in the NBA Eastern Conference. This is going to be a fun matchup tonight. If you look at what the Milwaukee Bucks have done, they're trying to catch the Bulls right now. The Chicago Bulls are just red hot. For the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo, He's been averaging 28.6 points per game and 11.3 rebounds per game. He ranks third in scoring in the NBA right now. And for the Chicago Bulls, you have DeMar DeRozan, 25.7 points per game and 5 rebounds per game. He ranks 8th in the league right now in scoring. You got 2 top 10 scorers facing off tonight. That is going to be fun. And this is going to be great. But also, too, Giannis has some support from Grayson Allen from Duke. Now, Grayson Allen may only be averaging 12 points per game and 3.4 rebounds per game. But Grayson Allen is also shooting 39% from beyond the arc, which is three-point land. There's something else to think about this evening as well. But DeMar DeRozan may have the better support from Lonzo Ball. He's been averaging 13.3 points per game, 5.4 rebounds per game, 5.1 assists per game, and on top of that, he's been averaging 1.8 steals per game. And he's shooting 42.3% from beyond the arc. This is your 8 o'clock matchup tonight on ESPN. This is going to be a fun one. I'll tell you right now, I am looking forward to this game. I may be flipping this dial. My remote's going to be getting a workout tonight, as it usually does on a Friday night. But to be honest with you, I can see this game being very interesting. We'll have to wait and see what happens tonight. But the Bulls and the Bucks, this is going to be a fun one. Who wins tonight? I got to go with the Chicago Bulls. Because they got DeRozan and they got Ball. Nothing against Giannis, but Giannis, I got a feeling that the Bulls are going to go into Milwaukee tonight and score an upset. That's just my professional opinion on this night. All right. That's the lone NBA game I'm going to be taking some time to talk about just real quick this week. We got some games in college basketball, including one matchup tonight that I'm going to give some love to. But before we do that, we had an upset last night that I want to go through. Indiana upset number 4 Purdue last night, 68-65 at Assembly Hall. For Indiana, Ron Finesi, he came off the bench and had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 steals, 1 block. 8 of 13 from the floor and 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. Give him some love. Xavier Lane, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. He was 7 of 17 from the field, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc, and 2 of 2 at the free throw line. But what happened to Purdue last night? Jaden Ivey, he tried to heave a 3 to force the game into overtime. He missed it. But he had 21 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. 7 of 16 from the field, 2 of 6 from beyond the arc, and 5 of 7 at the free throw line. Zach Edey, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block. He was 5 of 6 from the field and about 2 of 7 from the free throw line. That is not good. I don't care how good you think you are. And Mason Gillis, 13.7 rebounds, 2 assists. 5 of 6 from beyond the arc, 3 of 4 at the free throw line from beyond the arc, and 0-1 at the free throw line last night. That's what went wrong with Purdue. Now, I've looked at some other numbers. I break it down into 5 categories. Field goal percentage, 3-point free throws, rebounds, and turnovers. Let's see. In those 5 categories, Purdue shot 46.3%, Indiana's 42.9%. Purdue takes that category. They take that one there. I'm going to mark that down. And from beyond the arc, Purdue shot 34.8% from beyond the arc to Indiana's 30. Give them some love. And at the free throw line, Indiana was better at 58.3%. It wasn't good, but it was good enough. And next to Purdue's 41.2%. Purdue, they out-rebounded Indiana, 39-30. But the most costly one, turnovers. Purdue committed 12 turnovers last night to Indiana's 3. And if you think about that, and I've said this many, many times, you turn the ball over 10, 15 times or more in a ball game, you're going to lose. Purdue turned it over 12 times, and Purdue head coach Matt Painter was frustrated with that performance last night. And that's all there was to it. Matt Painter and Purdue are probably doing this morning. And Indiana's thinking a couple of things.
House of pleasure. House of pleasure.
Indiana got a huge win last night. A big win. And if they win their next game, they could get into the top 25. This was a big game last night. You knock off number 4 Purdue. If you win your next game, Indiana's going to be in the top 25 somewhere. We don't know where, but they're trying to get into the rankings. And if they get into the rankings, look out, because the Big Ten is going to get crowded real quick. All right. That was last night. Here is tonight's action. Now, folks, everybody, I know it's rare that I do this, but I'm going to start it off with the MAC, the Mid-America Conference. It's very rare that I do this. I've got a sister upstairs. I got a sister who'll be like, Scott, you better talk about the Bobcats tonight because they're playing Toledo in a very important game. So I just said, I'm going to talk about them. Will you please leave me alone about it? I'm kidding, but my sister did say, you need to give some love to the MAC tonight because this is a huge game. And she's right. My sister's absolutely right on this. This is a huge game. Toledo versus Ohio. You got the Toledo Rockets, the Ohio Bobcats. The Convocation Center tonight in Athens is going to be rocking. And, of course, Rufus Bobcat is going to be there. but I got to get serious here for a minute. For the Ohio Bobcats, 2 big names on my watch list. Mark Sears. And he's a great guy. 19.5 points per game, 4.9 rebounds per game, 3-point assists per game, 8-point assists per game. And he knows how to steal the basketball. He's been a thief to opponents. 1.8 steals per game. Now, the other player on my watch list for the Bobcats, Ben Vanderplas. He may only average 12.8 points per game and 6.5 rebounds per game, but he scored 23 in their win over Miami of Ohio, just to be clear. And he's shooting 35.9% from beyond the arc. Very impressive. Tonight, if the Bobcats want to win, Sears has got to score like about 23 or 24 tonight if they want to get a big victory. But on the other side of the ball, for the Toledo Rockets, I got 2 players on my watch list. Ryan Rollins, he's one of them. He's been averaging 19.3 points per game, 5.6 rebounds per game, and 3.4 assists per game. And he is shooting 55.6% from the field. That it could be very important tonight in this matchup. But of course, Rollins has some support. JT Shoemate, 15.4 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game. He's shooting 52.1% from beyond the arc. They got to limit Shoemate to. They got to get Shoemate out of his comfort zone. That's all there is to it. For the Bobcats to score a big victory tonight over Toledo, they got to take Shoemate out of his 3-point comfort zone. That's all there is to it. And they got to limit Ryan Rollins. They got to limit his time on the court. Get him in foul trouble. Foul trouble early in the game. That's what's got to happen. But on the other side of the ball, Shoemate, if he starts hitting threes like there's no tomorrow, lights out. Ryan Rollins, if he just scores at will, if the Bobcats let him score at will, it's going to be lights out tonight. That's all there is to it. Now, if you look at all the intangibles, the most important stuff, like the points per game, points against per game, assists per game, and their opponent's scoring, it breaks down like this. The OU Bobcats have been averaging 72.3 points per game. And the Bobcats, rebounds per game, they've been averaging 33 rebounds per game and 12.4 assists per game. And they've held their opponents to 64.4 points per game. That could be very important tonight. All of this is important for a lot of reasons. As for the Toledo Rockets, they've been rocketing here lately. 80.2 points per game, and they've been averaging 37.7 rebounds per game, along with 14.5 assists per game, and they have allowed their opponents only 65.9 points per game. This is a serious game tonight, everybody. Oops, wrong button. So all I got to say is, I just want to say this. Are you interested in this game? Because I am. The Toledo Rockets and the Ohio Bobcats, 6 o'clock tonight on the CBS Sports Network from the Convocation Center in beautiful Athens, Ohio. A lot of people have said Athens is redneck heaven. And just on a personal note, I agree. You get away from the campus of Ohio University, it's hillbilly heaven. I'm sorry, sis. I'm just kidding with you. I just had to have fun. All right. That's the MAC game for tonight. Now let's have some real fun. As soon as the Toledo, Ohio game ends, I'll probably be watching number 14 Michigan State face number 8 Wisconsin in a rare top 15 matchup on a Friday night in the Big Ten. This is going to be fun. 8 o'clock on FS1, just to let you guys know. For Michigan State, Gabe Brown. This guy's a great player. 14.2 points per game. He's shooting 42.9% from the field. And he's also been averaging 4.8 rebounds per game. That is a big deal. That is one of the most important things that you can think of at this time. But he's got some support. Marcus Bingman Jr. He may only average 9.7 points per game, but he leads the team in rebounding with 7.1 rebounds per game. That could be an important element tonight. And, of course, the other player on my watch list for Michigan State, 6.8 points per game, is Tyson Walker. He may only average 6.8 points per game, but he knows how to be the assist leader with 5.2 assists per game. Those are my 3 players on the watch list tonight for Michigan State tonight. But what about Wisconsin? There's only one man, Johnny Davis. Johnny on the spot. Johnny come lately on the block. You come up with a cliche. Now, Johnny Davis, he's been averaging 22.1 points per game. And he's been shooting 44.1% from the field. And with 7.5 rebounds per game and 2.5 assists per game, you wonder why Wisconsin's in the top 10. And that's one of the main reasons why. But if you look at everything, if you look at all the important numbers, all the intangibles, Michigan State's been averaging 74.7 points per game, along with, and they've only limited their opponents to 65.6 points per game. They've been averaging over 40 rebounds. That could be important, and 17 assists per game. Keep those numbers in mind when you watch tonight. Now for Wisconsin, this is where it gets interesting. Now Wisconsin's been averaging 72.6 points per game, and they have allowed their opponents only 65.8 points per game. Right? Keep those 2 numbers in mind, 65.6 and 65.8. Now, as far as Wisconsin rebounding, they've been averaging just a little over 36 rebounds per game and 11.4 assists per game. This is going to be a fun one tonight. I'm looking forward to this because I'm telling you, whoever wins this game, we'll have an idea what direction the Big Ten race is going to go. This is going to be fun. Number 14, Michigan State. Number 8, Wisconsin. A rare top 15 matchup on a Friday night. Kick back, relax, and enjoy. The game's on Fox Sports 1. And yes, I'm going to be loving it all night long, if you get what I mean. Now, we've gone from the MAC to the Big Ten. Now we head to the Southeast, to the SEC. Number 12, Kentucky. Number 2, Auburn. For Kentucky, I've got 2 players on my watch list. Oscar Tishavi. I apologize if I mispronounce your name, but you got to understand, some of these names are not easy to pronounce. But anyway, Oscar Tishavi. He's been averaging 16.1 points per game, and he's been shooting 61.6% from the field. And this guy's been averaging a double-double per game, 14.8 rebounds per game. Keep that in mind. But he's got some support, surprisingly, from Severe Wheeler. 10.4 points per game, and he's been leading the team in assists with 7.1 assists per game. Think about that. Now, on the other side of the ball for Auburn, I've got 3 big players on my watch list. Jabari Smith. He's been averaging 15.8 points per game, and he's only been shooting 45.7% from the field. Do you smell upset? We'll have to wait and see. But Smith's got some support for Walker Kessler. He may only be averaging 10.3 points per game, but he leads the team in rebounding with 7.4 rebounds per game. So keep that in mind. And on the other side of the ball, and on this side of the ball, Wendell Green Jr. He's been averaging 13.1 points per game. He leads the team in assists with 5.1 assists per game. That could be an important element going into this game tomorrow afternoon. This is a 1 o'clock game on ESPN. Keep that in mind. Now, if you look at all the important numbers, one thing to keep in mind, Auburn has won 14 straight games. Their 14-game winning streak is on the line. Could it come to an end courtesy of Kentucky? We'll have to wait and see on that one. But let's think about this for a minute. If you look at all the important numbers like I do, and you'll see where I'm going with this. Kentucky's been averaging 82.9 points per game. Auburn, they've been averaging 80.7 points per game. Another thing to keep in mind for Kentucky, if you're a Kentucky fan, they've only allowed their opponents to score 62.8 points per game. Auburn's allowed 65.6. That is something to keep. That's another thing to keep in mind. And Kentucky's been averaging over 42 rebounds per game. Auburn, 39.2. And assists per game, give that to Kentucky. They've only given up 17.2 assists per game. Auburn's only had 15.6. Now, Auburn's 14-game winning streak is on the line. Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl's already said, my guys are ready for Kentucky. John Calipari, Kentucky head coach, has already said, hey, we're ready for Auburn. We're going to go into their house and pull off an upset. And if that happens, there's going to be some property torn up down there tonight. Now stop, think about this for a minute. This is an SEC battle. This is a huge game. We're talking about SEC championship. Now we're in January, but it's not too early to be talking about March Madness. And that's a fact. All right. Now, to close out the show, we're going to stay in the Southeast Conference. We have a big game coming up Saturday night at 6 o'clock. Number 13, LSU. Number 24, Tennessee. This has become a big matchup. For LSU, Tyree Eason. He's been averaging 16 points per game, and he's been shooting 54.1% from the field. But he's got some two guys for support. Darius Davis, 13.5 points per game, and he's been averaging 7.3 rebounds per game. And last but not least on the LSU watch list, in my opinion, Xavier Pinson. He may only be averaging 10.9 points per game, but he's been averaging 4.6 assists per game. That could be very important going into this matchup tomorrow night. And on the other side of the ball, for Tennessee, you got Santangelo Vescovi. This guy's been averaging 14 points per game, and he's shooting 42.9% from the field. That could be a factor tomorrow night. Oliver Nakamia. I apologize again if I mispronounce your name. I'm trying. But at least I'm here. He may only be averaging 8.9 points per game and 5.6 rebounds per game. But he's shooting 51.7% from the field. There could be your shooter for tomorrow. And Kennedy Chandler for Tennessee, he leads the team in assists with 4.9 assists per game. And he's also been averaging 13.6 points per game. That is a big game. That is important. Now, the tail of the tape. For LSU, they've been averaging 74.6 points per game. And they've only allowed their opponents to score 57.7 points per game. They've done a great job with that. Now, LSU's been averaging a little over 40 rebounds per game. That could be a key right there tomorrow night. And they only have 12.4 assists per game, and that could be a big, big deal right there. Now, on the other side of the ball for Tennessee, they've been averaging 75.1 points per game. This game could be close. But Tennessee's allowed their opponents to score 63.4 points per game. Think about that one, too. As far as rebounds go, Tennessee's been averaging over 37.3 rebounds per game. I think they're going to be in good shape in the rebound department. But as far as assists per game, they've been averaging 16.9 assists per game, almost 17, if you stop and think about it. I've got to give the edge to LSU because they got some great guys who can shoot. You got Eason, you got Days, and then you got Pinson. Just some things to think about as we go into this game tomorrow evening. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for my closing thoughts. We got a big weekend coming up in the NFL. The divisional round is here. We got two big college basketball games that I'm going to be watching with special interest tonight. Yes, I am going to be watching the OU Toledo game tonight at 6 o'clock. And if the Bobcats win, there's going to be some property torn up in Athens tonight. But seriously, though, it is a huge game in the Mid-American Conference. We got the top two teams battling for the lead in the MAC. And the Convocation Center tonight is going to be rocking. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this now. Ohio University, my sister went to OU. She is an OU grad. And I'll tell you right now, if you think about what the Bobcats have done so far, not just the men, but the women know how to get it done too. Rufus Bobcat will be in the building tonight. I'm talking about the mascot, not a live Bobcat. Don't press the panic button. But the other day, I was watching on YouTube, right here on YouTube, I was watching some Bobcat chatter. And I saw this on Facebook, and I want to talk about this for a second. I saw a pack of 5 Bobcats down in a forest down in Marietta, Ohio, which is way down in southeast Ohio, right along the Ohio-West Virginia border. Somebody from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources shot a photo. And I'm probably going to share that one of these days. 5 Bobcats together, that's a rarity. It's beautiful from a distance. I'm not going to get too close to a Bobcat. That's just some food for thought. I'm going to be watching Toledo, watching the Rockets and the Bobcats tonight. A lot of people, you guys are thinking, it's just the MAC. But hey, the Mid-America Conference, it doesn't get a lot of attention. It's getting attention tonight from yours truly. And it should get attention from a lot of people down in Athens and a lot of people here in Ohio. because we have a lot of great universities besides Ohio. Now, Ohio State is a great university, but we have a lot of other universities in the fine state of Ohio, if you stop and think about it. And that's the bottom line on this day. Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me. I will be back here Sunday night at 11:30 for the Scott Manning YouTube Sports Weekend Wrap-Up Show. But until then, I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here on this night. On this day, I'm sorry. It's been a lot. It's been a crazy week. Thank you guys so much for being with me here on this day. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name is Scott Manning. All you have to do is type my name, scroll down, look for this pretty face, click subscribe, and you will see all of the sports videos I have done so far. Thank you guys so much for being with me here on this day. You guys have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for being with me, and God bless. Goodbye, everybody, and I thank you.